Heyo everybody, Haku here with this week's read-through or live reaction for Beastars chapter 154. I'm super excited to read because we're going to be learning more about this lore. We just had an amazing chapter last week. I love how we got this really deep and impactful character stuff with Legosi and Jack, but it was also like mixed in really great with this comedy stuff that was so good. Also, if you haven't read it yet, Itagaki Paru put out like a first sort of chapter of an autobiographical manga, and the first chapter was really cute and stuff. It was only like 6 pages. But if you're a fan of Beastars and a fan of Paru, who is amazing, then yeah, I guess go and check that out. But I'm excited to see what's gonna happen here, what's gonna go down with the rest of this Beastars storyline. So, yeah. Before I get into reading, though, really quick, I want to say that I'm trying to hold back. Like, if that last line there was a little bit awkward, I was trying to hold back a sneeze for a second. But yeah, I kept sneezing during the Boku no Hero Academia video that I recorded before this, and I don't want to have to go into editing and cut out a million sneezes. So I'm gonna try to avoid that, but if you see a whole bunch of jump cuts and stuff, it's because for some reason I can't stop sneezing. If you see a bunch of jump cuts in this video. And either way, going to be catching up to the anime really soon. Hopefully within the next few days I'll be caught up on everything. Currently the episode 4 reaction in full uncut is up on Patreon for $5 and up tier, and the episode 5 reaction will be up there soon because I've already recorded it but I haven't posted it yet. So I'll get to editing those and putting them out on YouTube as soon as I can for all of you, and then also getting to catch up on the reviews too. Doing it as soon as possible, but also trying not to rush things. Either way though, let's actually start reading this. Chapter 154, Jack Sensei's History Classroom. I'm so excited. The cafeteria is still integrated. We don't need to use it in different times. Everyone was already sitting with their species, before the segregation. So, what did you learn from the special class? Is it even okay for me to know? You might not believe the history of animal society, even if I were to tell you. Dropping some deep lore with Glasses Jack. You might not even be able to sleep at night. Everything I'm going to say is simply too frightening. Really? That makes me curious. Somewhat monotone. By the way, what's your height and weight? Huh? A little more than 180 centimeters, and weight is... I've lost weight since I've started living alone. I think I'm 75 kilograms. You have a good body type. Yeah. You're very skinny macho. What do you mean? I'm average. You only feel average because of how things are right now. The animals around us look slender, right? That type of body is a phenomenon of modern society, so to speak. The animals of this time period are getting skinnier every year. It's not just because we're young students. The middle-aged animals in society are just the same. That makes sense. Goin-san told me he had a beer belly. He isn't really fat. Zagwan-san, the sea animal's the only chubby grown-up I've ever seen. But the carnivores from long ago used to have a lot more fat and muscle. They were really big and savage, a very long time ago. There was a time period where the carnivores were called life animals. Okay, so we've heard the term life animals before, I think. Was it Meron that had mentioned it before? Either way, where the carnivores were called life animals. So this is interesting. We're seeing what carnivores in the Beastars world looked like before. Their average height and weight were 300 centimeters and 200 kilograms. They were very intelligent and had great camaraderie, meaning they were capable of treating their comrades with compassion, protecting them, and being kind to them. But they were very savage. When they fought each other, they always fought to the death. The winner would eat the loser and live on. They were called life animals because they would eat life. They would only live by the strength of their own bodies, so their population growth was stagnant and their culture was undeveloped. But then, they met nature animals. Okay. What we now call the herbivores. Okay, because they didn't need to eat meat. They focused less on combat and more on culture. Okay. And it looks as if... Oh, the life animal saved the nature animal. What's interesting, is that the life animals perceive nature animals as objects for their protection, though it might have been their survival instincts telling them that helping the nature animals would be beneficial to them. So, there wasn't any conflict when they first met each other, says Lugosi. Yep, that's when animal society first began. The nature animals, who were always very fertile and thus very prosperous, accepted the life animals and formed an animal society. Over a long period of history, the life animals became more gentle. They got more protein from eating eggs and milk, and they adopted a peaceful lifestyle and became thinner, like how we are now. Oh, the school was always focused on that time period alone and ended it right there. It was the most peaceful time period after all. The scary stuff happened afterward, in the Carni-Urbi War 100 years ago. Yeah, there are always conflicts big and small when two different species live together, but that war was so big of a conflict that they invented new monikers for each of them. Monikers. The carnivores and the herbivores. This isn't right. Our population was 3 times bigger than yours, and now our populations are the same. And even worse, all our corpses are disappearing. You're using war as an excuse to eat us, you damn carnivore. Okay, please, surrender, herbivores. If you keep fighting us, we're going to eat you all up. So again, this is interesting. The carnivores just aren't straight-up bad guys trying to eat the herbivores. They realize, because of their camaraderie, that even though they eat meat, it's better to work together. Whereas herbivores feel like their populations are starting to become too similar. And, I mean, honestly, they have reason to just act based on fear of the carnivores because, again, their corpses are disappearing, so they think they're just going to eat them all up. I don't want to destroy the civilization we worked so hard to create, says the carnivore. This is all nonsense. If you surrender now, we won't eat you. You must let us atone for this, from now till the distant future. And then a big whale appeared and stopped the war. What an ending. The whale was so big that the herbivores stopped taking the war seriously, so they surrendered and the war was over. Big whales? Lugosi's face is great. Don't smile at me like that. You don't believe me, do you, Lugosi? I mean, it kind of makes sense now that we know that the sea creatures have their own third culture. Ah, jeez, I should have never told you. Come on, it's not like I don't believe you, it's just you kind of shifted into fantasy. You don't believe me. I do. Oh, and now we're shifting over to Yafia. I might catch a cold. It's hard to believe you're 400 years old with a blow like that. Oh, and this is why he's wet. We see the whale there. So Yafia knows the whale that ended the war then. This is interesting. Your presence put an end to the Carni-Urbi War. The word reverence doesn't even describe the amount of respect I have for you. Your sea-speak has improved, Yafia, says the whale. Thank you. My associates are telling me that your words which stopped the war would give me a hint necessary for this animal society. What did you say? Can you still not tell me? The land animals are immature. They're always fighting. They have to coexist more peacefully before I can tell you. Is that right? In that case, consider this summit meeting adjourned. And he sneezes and starts paddling away. That was really good. We got the deep lore of what the Carni-Urbi War was about, what the life animals and nature animals were about, and I like that it's not as simple as a good guy or a bad guy. The nature animals had a reasonable fear of the carnivores, but they also had a society of working together to build something greater. Whereas the carnivores didn't have this idea of building something greater in society. They were able to learn that, but what they did have was this innate respect for collaboration and working together and coalition and stuff. And because they had this pack mentality, that they even were like, okay, the herbivores are now part of our pack too. Because they had this pack mentality, even though they ate meat to sustain their own lives and such, they were able to sort of grow and coexist in this society. and the boiling point, we're probably going to learn more about what actually started the war. There's probably more to it than just that, but from what little we've seen and from what little those soldiers said, we could kind of just guess that, again, the herbivores were scared of how their corpses would disappear because the carnivores did need meat to a certain degree. I mean, we see that now with the back alley market. They were afraid because of that, and afraid because of the growing population of the carnivores among them, because the carnivores now had this part in society. But either way, I like that it's not just like the carnivores were vicious monsters that wanted to eat all the herbivores, because it makes sense that they have this pack mentality. And the herbivores weren't, I don't know, they weren't like totally evil or totally good either. Both had good and bad. And I like that. And also interesting that the sea creatures are sort of the third party in this, with a lot more mystery surrounding them and their culture. Though, of course, we know that live or die, eat or be eaten, all of it's kind of Hakuna Matata whatever to the sea creatures from what Zagwan says. But I like this, and we're introducing the great whale that ended the war and all that. So, everything super, super cool. I'm excited to see where this continues. But if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my first thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Beastars, both anime and manga. Tons more on the channel too. If you'd like a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, it's free and open for anyone, and we can all talk there. If you want to, you can follow on Twitter, and I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff, or talk to you there. But lately I've just been more sort of on the ball with just posting something, kind of like an update on YouTube every couple days or whatever, just to keep you all updated on what's going on. And lastly, if you want to help support the channel on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description, and that helps me to keep being able to make these videos on the week-to-week basis that I do. It helps me to be able to afford to have time to make all these. But also at the Cherryton Student $5 and up tier, you can get full, uncut, unedited reactions to the full episode of Beastars, from episodes 4 onward there. But if you don't mind waiting a bit until I have time to finally edit them, I'll have edited versions of those up on YouTube at some point, just for free in general. But if you want to see them completely full, uncut, and unedited and all that, they'll be up on Patreon. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.